Ooh, a big topic. This is a rough one. Communication is something that can so easily be overlooked, like all the time. It's it is such a it's a huge aspect of your day to day is how you're communicating, when you're communicating, where you're communicating, who you're communicating to. It's like massive in terms of like how much you do it and how easy it is for people to just like not do it well. Um, I think one of the biggest examples of this is where you have, especially if you're working in emails, that ping ponging back and forth with emails is just massively wasteful in terms of like you ask one thing but you don't give all the like information, and you end up then having the person respond but then also not providing all the information, and then yeah, it's just back and forth, and it's such a waste in terms of like people's time and effort. Like that's where being able to ask something, or actually we'll go with an example of um wanting to set up a meeting but asking in an email. So in that instance, you ask the question as to like uh what would be a good example? Um you would ask a question of uh like, do you have time to talk about this between these two times, or in the next couple days, or maybe we, I don't know. The problem is that emails are just kind of bad um for a lot of different things, that they end up getting used like all the time, especially for like status stuff, which is difficult because it's like, how much did that actually need to be an email? How much value was gained, and was the email even read? Because plenty of time where people just don't read the email. Um, but anyways, so being able to provide additional context within the thing that you're sending, so you're not then waiting for a response back and forth, like providing a subject, or not subject, a suggestion along with whatever you're then asking about, will potentially save you, I mean, at least one email back and forth, um, by like saying, wish I had a specific example off the top of my head, but I don't really like emails, so it's hard to come up with a specific example. But if you work within an office and you utilize emails, I'm sure you've had your instance where you send something, they send something, you send something, they send something, but in some of that back and forth exchange could have been consolidated into one fuller or more complete email, instead of using email as in the same way that you would use like an instant messenger or direct message or some sort of team chat communication software. It's just crazy how frequently we like pass a one line email off to then get one line back to send another one line, instead of saying, here's the one line, this is the action to be taken, uh and then like have the action be the end result of that email outside of maybe a confirmation, depending on like whether or not you work closely with the person, like either physically or something like that, because it just wastes so much time. Outside of that, it's like really being able to um say, well, I mean, one issue with communications is if your environment has not fostered uh, a positive um, culture on being able to speak up, then that immediately heavily degrades the capacity of communication or to communicate well or effectively. Uh, so, like, that's also something to look into, is whether or not you have, because whether or not a company wants to admit it, there's instances where, regardless of how much they say we're there's no hierarchy, we're all the same or whatever, it's like, well, I mean, there is a hierarchy. Like, inherently there's a hierarchy. uh so making sure that you have culture being passed down from the top, being like, this is how we want to conduct ourselves, requires people at the top also conducting themselves that way and speaking clearly and encouraging feedback, and like, that's important. But then also, people actually taking advantage of it and seeing that what was said is actually what was meant, and not just platitudes or just empty sayings that people are, oh, we're we're always looking for feedback. We take feedback very seriously. It's like, then that needs to be very transparent if that's the case. Like, that needs to be shown. There needs to be a proof of people seeing how uh honest and or adhered to that is. So communication is really, can be difficult to do well, but if you have people who encourage clear communication and also exhibit clear communication, that can be very helpful to how to conduct yourself moving forward. And also just being, I mean, one of the main things, which is something that I frequently think about, is just how much of our day-to-day interactions, like, everyone's a user. And so if you look at everyone being a user, how do you then provide positive uh a positive experience for that user? Like, how would you, if you have one method of communication, how could you take that and communicate it in a way that would be a positive user experience? Um, I think at the end of the day, like, that's the main thing to think about, is at that point it's empathy. Is like, what do they need to know, not just what do I need to know, or limiting your thought to just your side of it. Think about the entirety of the conversation would help benefit a lot of that.